All right, welcome back to the new SEC podcast. We got a huge game this week, Oklahoma versus Alabama. CFP rankings just came out. Oklahoma now 11, Alabama still sitting at 4. Think about this game. Oklahoma kind of controls, they do control their destiny as far as making the playoffs. They need to win out. They win this game. Right now, they're sitting on the outside of the bracket, sitting in the top 12, but because of auto bids on the outside looking in, they win this game. They will be sitting firmly in that bracket next week when those rankings come out. Huge game, and they have some of the blueprints to beat Alabama. They can generate a lot of pressure. Randall, looking at this game, Alabama 6.5-point favorites at home against Oklahoma. What do you think?
Look, I think between this game and the Georgia versus Texas game, these are going to be two of the most fun games of the week. They both have 6.5-point lines right now. If you're betting, it definitely makes things interesting. For this particular game, if I'm an Oklahoma fan, you should have a little bit of swagger. Like you said, you have the proper defense to be able to slow down this Alabama team. And LSU kind of gave you the blueprint of what it takes to slow down Ty Simpson, Jerry Bernard, and these receivers.
Yeah, for sure. And right now, what Oklahoma does best, better than anybody in the nation, is quarterback pressure. Nobody does it better than Oklahoma right now. Texas A&M right behind them, but they're getting 4 sacks a game. That's tough to continue to maintain an offense when a team is getting to the quarterback that often. And quickly, talking about Ty Simpson, how he performs under pressure. When he's kept clean, 19 touchdowns, 1 pick, 71% completion percentage. When he's pressured, which is about 28% of the time, only 2 touchdowns, 5 fumbles, and a 54% completion rate. It's a huge factor. We've seen the strip sacks be a problem over the past couple of weeks. Oklahoma is a team who can potentially capitalize on that if the Alabama O-line doesn't improve.
What's interesting about this game for Oklahoma is when you are able to make these defensive stops, what are they going to be able to do on offense? It's been talked a lot about this season. Mateer has not looked the same since the thumb injury. He's thrown, I think, an interception in 6 of the 9 or 10 games they've played. But this is an opportunity for him to maybe work this secondary a little bit. Maybe get Burks more involved again. Get some of these guys more involved again on the passing side, and really show that he is still that quarterback to be for the team.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I mean, I think an understated part of Alabama right now is the pass defense. It's been a little bit under talked about what they've been able to do. A lot of people are talking about the O-line play being poor, potentially, run defense. If you can run on Alabama, they're 7th in the nation for passing yards allowed right now. The best in the
number 2 in the SEC.
Yeah. I mean, they're able to put pressure on quarterbacks. They're able to get pressure behind the line. Yanze Pierre doing a great job at that. They're doing great at tackling. A far cry from the beginning of the season with the Florida State game. They're wrapping guys up. They're swarming the ball. They look a little bit more like Alabama teams of the past. The Oklahoma offense, should they be able to run, is more where you attack Alabama, but that's not really Oklahoma's DNA. Rushing yards are only about 38% of the yards that they have on the season. It's quarterback legs, though, is another story. That's the thing that Mateer can do in this game that would challenge Alabama.
And it's still an area of opportunity for Oklahoma as well when it comes to rushing the football.
It is, and it's looked better. They've had some clicks with Xavier Robinson. We saw that in the Ole Miss game. They were able to put 100-plus yards with him on the ground, and it helped them in that game, even though they didn't win, keep that game really close because the running worked. I mean, for the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, we're like, we need to see them run the ball. It can't just be Mateer, and it can't just be throwing. They need to run the ball. If they do that in this game, that could be a critical thing for them. It's a little bit of a change in their DNA, like I said. Alabama allowing 4.3 per carry right now. Oklahoma defense, on the other hand, we talked about the pressure. We talked about that. If you don't get the pressure, can Oklahoma stop the run like Alabama hasn't been able to run all year? And can they match up well with these receivers? Alabama has so many guys who can be involved in the passing game.
Yeah, and right now, Oklahoma's only given up 4 rushing TDs on the season, and they're 2nd in the SEC in rushing yards per game allowed. So they've proven they can stop the run. If you really kind of look at those stats, I think, Kawan Lacey probably is the best running back they faced. I mean, he had a pretty decent game against them. But, even when we saw them play Michigan, it was really one big run from Justice Haynes that kind of made up his overall stat sheet. We've been saying for weeks that Jam Miller is capable. He is obviously a part of the offensive mix. He has not been the juggernaut Alabama running back that we are used to seeing from the past.
Yeah, and they've been continuing to give those carries, which I like, even though it's not working. You get Kevin Riley back there a little bit more. You want to continue to at least attempt to run. The LSU game, the running wasn't working at all. It's kind of been the story of the season. When Alabama looks at this game from a game planning standpoint, they know there's going to be pressure. Let's get the ball out early. You let the playmakers work in space. It's you got so many of them. How do they match up against all of these guys? We're going to see a lot of screens, I think, from Alabama, a lot of creativity. Everyone talking about Oklahoma having an in on some play calling or reading signals or whatever. And, Alabama's like, it's all changing. It's all changing. They're not going to know anything that we're doing. We're changing everything for this game because they're concerned about that maybe, or just feeding into the rumors. Who knows? But right now, can you get Oklahoma guys to miss in space? If you look at the games that they lost, 12 missed tackles versus Texas, 18 versus Ole Miss. There's an opportunity, if you're shifty enough, for that to be the way to beat Oklahoma's defense. Get the ball out of the quarterback hands quickly, and then let the guys work.
Absolutely. And again, this Oklahoma team, passing wise, fourth in the SEC in passing yards allowed. But if completions are happening, when those completions are happening, you talk about the games they have lost, it's going to be to Trinidad Chambliss with the team in Ole Miss that has a ton of receiving options. We know Alabama has a ton of receiving options with Jeremy Bernard, Latier Brooks. Brooks doesn't even have a TD on the season yet, but he's still one of the most impactful receivers on this team. And then Isaiah Horton leads the team in touchdowns, 5 touchdowns on the season. It's a similar blueprint in terms of looking at what Ole Miss was able to do. But we also saw this Oklahoma team be able to kind of shut down Tennessee and get a 33-27 win against a similar skill set of a receiving core, maybe not as deep, but obviously very talented in the case for Tennessee.
No, that's a good point. I mean, the Tennessee receiving core is one of the more spread out, like there's 3-4 guys with equal talent across the board who can all make things happen. Brazell, Matthews. It's a good point here. Looking, I guess, at keys for this game. I'm looking at a little bit at Alabama, the defense and Oklahoma offense. Mateer has not necessarily been playing his best football since the injury. In the 4 games back, he's only scored 3 total touchdowns, 2 in the air, 1 on the ground. He's taken 12 sacks and thrown 4 picks. I think if you're Alabama, you continue to apply pressure, been shown to make mistakes, put the ball in the dirt occasionally. I think for Alabama defense, you just try to stop this guy. I think that the pass defense for Alabama will come through. For offense, you got to play quick if Alabama's going to win this game. But they want to get their get back from last year. I know that.
Yeah, they're definitely going to want to get their get back from last year. And it's been an interesting journey with Mateer. There were like the highs of getting up to the Texas game. And then, of course, getting hurt before that game and then coming back for that game. And you look at who he played with Temple and with Michigan and with, Illinois State. We had a lot of games where we really saw him throw some dots, but the competition was as strong as that SEC schedule, right? When he played at Washington State, you were playing kind of a glorified semi-Pac-12, a little bit of independent schedule. We're kind of seeing what the gauntlet of the SEC could do. He's handling it. I would be really interested to see what he does next season if he decides to come back. But right now for this season, you got to look at the opponent in front of you. And this is the highest ranked opponent that they will play this season, higher than Ole Miss, higher than Tennessee. I think he's still a gamer. I think the team around him has enough. And that's where we talk about keys for this game. It's what you mentioned about getting pressure on Ty Simpson and the 5 fumbles that have happened when there is pressure there and he's not comfortable in the pocket. They're going to be able to contain this run game. They've proven they can do it. I mean, to bank on Alabama all of a sudden out of nowhere, this game being the game they decide to rush for 100-something yards would be insane. I don't bet a lot, but I'd love to see the odds on the rushing yards for Jam Miller. But I think you do what you do best: stop the run, create pressure offensively, keep your team in positions where it's third and short if you're going to be in third down situations where you can kind of use that run pass option that has worked well for Mateer.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could see, where Oklahoma, it being those strip sacks, the opportunities there to get pressure on Ty Simpson. I think right now Alabama has been winning games. You can call it winning ugly, winning close, whatever you want to call it. They're winning football games for that reason. Being at home as well, what they have on the line, I'm going with Alabama, 26-18, covering the spread, winning by 8.
Okay. All right. I mean, I definitely think it'll be a game where it's within – both teams are under 28. I think that Oklahoma goes into this game They find a way to win 24-20. Kind of contain Ty Simpson, similar to what we saw against LSU. Get enough points, including special teams, including defense, and a little bit of heroics from John Mateer in this game, and he's back in the national spotlight when it comes to the SEC.
All right, it's going to be a good game either way. A lot on the line, like we've said, for these two teams, for the SEC championship, for the playoffs, just all kinds of things on the line here, shaking out for the rest of the conference. Oklahoma fans, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Alabama fans, continue to come on, watch our stuff. We make a lot of Alabama content, Oklahoma content. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, so you don't miss out as we talk about this game, recaps, team of the week previews. We talk about the playoffs, the brackets. I'm Hunter Ziesman, Randall Odette Jr. here. We are the new SEC podcast, and we appreciate you tuning in.